That's good.
Recording in progress. So here I am recording. So I guess we're waiting for people to come in. Otherwise, there's nobody. Stacy's not going to make it. Do you want me to mute or pause the recording until people get here, Megs? Just nod your head. No? Okay.
Nope, go ahead.
Go ahead and what? Just speak?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
going to be introduced, right?
We're gonna
George,
introduce
yep.
you.
Yeah, we're Tampa International.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our worthy community. Today, Tamra Wright is going to be teaching. Tamra has 30 plus years of professional experience in radio, theater, TV, and film as an actor, singer, director, and producer. Nurturing artistic talent for measurable progress through healthy habits. She's the founder of Upwardly Vocal Studio, mentoring students to discover their true voice, empowering them for success on stage, screen, and in life. Her expertise is audition preparation, vocal technique development, character creation, voiceovers, and script analysis. She does directing and producing, musical theater, film production through nonprofit education, art organizations. She has a degree in communication and theater from Western Michigan University and associate of fine arts from Badenoch College.
Badenoch, yeah.
Hey, okay. She's been a member of SAG, AFTA for 26 years, the FCC commercial licensing for 34 years. She has 12 plus years of private vocal training in classical, opera, musical, theater for soprano, and 8 years of piano and ASL for theater. What is that?
American
Tamra?
Sign Language.
Okay. This woman is so talented. So amazing. She has community service of volunteering at the AV booth for 5 years, sings with the church praise band called Life Song, which I can't wait to listen to the video that you sent today. So she's a certified Stephen minister. It's 50 plus hours of training and active listening skills. And this woman is I can attest. I've been with her listening. I've been with her for almost a year in our mastermind, and she's got powerful listening skills. So, and a great teacher. Certified as a nonprofit facilitator, Stronger Women for Survivors of Domestic Abuse and Journey of Hope Grief Support Center. Tamra has been married for 29 years to her husband, Rob, whom she met and asked out at the only fraternity party she attended in college. 3 neurodivergent children, eldest with an associate of fine arts, second daughter in driver's training, and this youngest son is interested in coding and 3D modeling.
Yep.
All are musicians and performers in local film and musical theater production. She teaches drama and musical theater to DFL, which is the Dallas, is that DFW area?
Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, DFW.
Dallas-Fort Worth area. Homeschoolers for the past 6 years. And she spoils a 105-pound Leo.
Yes, our Great Pyrenees.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Lori.
Welcome. You're welcome.
I am so glad you get to introduce me today because I'm actually going to mention you in my talk today when we talk about dream routines, right?
Okay.
So, all right. So here's the question for today for everybody who is watching this on the replay crew. How can I create routines that support my dream? Well, our inspiration is that routines build consistency and consistency brings results. Embrace habits that bring you closer to your dream. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of us have seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding? It's a great movie.
Yeah.
There's several of them. It was Nia Vardalos wrote the screenplay and starred in the film, but does anyone remember who produced the film? It's one of those trick questions that, you watch the Oscars and they mention all the producers, but this one is kind of special because it's Rita Wilson and Tom Hanks. They were the producers of it. And how this came to be was Rita Wilson, who is of Greek heritage, saw Nia Vardalos perform in a one-woman show called My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and was so impressed with it that she went to the backstage after the show and introduced herself. Rita introduced herself to Nia and inquired if she'd be willing to work with her as a producer for an adaptation of the film. And here's the thing, Nia had already written and prepared a screenplay adaptation of her one-woman show. And so Rita said she was so impressed with that Nia had been so prepared that she knew immediately that she and her husband Tom Hanks had to produce this film, which was then nominated for several awards for Best Picture, Screenplay, Actress, Cast, including the Oscars, Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild, and it ended up winning the People's Choice Award for Favorite Comedy Motion Picture and Satellite Award for the Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Comedy or Musical. So Nia was the very definition of success is where preparation and opportunity meet. And this is a quote often attributed to Roman philosopher Seneca, and this saying emphasizes the importance of being prepared so that when the right opportunity arises, one can take full advantage of it. So, and I also have a great story about Nia Vardalos. When I was living in Los Angeles, I was hired by to direct a stage production for a theater company called the Spy Ants, which is a funny name, but it is a play on the word thespians. So they called themselves the Spy Ants. And one night, Nia came to the show and introduced herself to the cast and crew. And because she is known for paying it forward, like Rita did for her. So just a little side note there.
Oh, love it.
Isn't that a great story? So
Yes.
being prepared means having discipline. Discipline comes from having a dream routine. So implementing a dream routine involves establishing a series of consistent actions and habits that align your goals with your aspirations. Now, here are 5 steps you can take to create and implement a dream routine. But before I get to those, I want to take a moment to remind you that a dream routine is a symbiotic relationship. This is why Miss Lori is important to be here, between self-care and goal achievement. So it begins with prioritizing your well-being by establishing a routine that ensures restful sleep and proper self-care. This creates a foundation for your dreams. So once you achieve quality rest and rejuvenation, you are better equipped to design and follow a daily routine that enables you to accomplish your aspirations. So I call this the cycle of dreaming and doing, which nurtures your mind, body, and spirit, ultimately driving you towards success. And I even created a little diagram. Let me see if I can get my little diagram on the screen for you all. Let me see if this works. I love technology. I love technology. I love technology. Here we go. And let's see if I can get this. Let's see. What is it doing? Okay.
Oh,
Are you all seeing my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, so let me see. I've got to look at the screen at the same time, otherwise it will not let me see it. Here we go. Okay, so you can see this little diagram that says dream and routine, and you see the heart in the center of it right there.
Yes.
So that heart represents us, and it represents our mind, body, and spirit, right? So in order for us to have a dream, we must first have a routine that allows us to dream, to sleep well, and take care of ourselves. And then once we have this dream that becomes our vision for the future of what we want, then we can create a routine that allows us to continue towards our dream. So this week we met with our wonderful fearless leader, Maggie, who gave us this infinity loop talking about the law of expectation, we need to ask, receive, allow ourselves to receive, right? So we ask and allow and receive. And so it just creates this loop. The same concept is, in order for us to dream, we have to have a routine that allows us to take care of ourselves so we're well rested, so we can create that dream and that vision, and then we can move on. So I'm going to unshare my screen right now. Let's see. Oh, stop sharing. There's the button. There it is. There it is. So I can go back to my notes here. So in that diagram, any routine that you incorporate should include all three of these elements, the mind, body, and spirit, because if you don't take care of you, then who? Who will? And that's where our lovely worthy guide, priority coach, Ms. Lori Love Jones, will cover that topic in subsequent weeks. Okay, so stay tuned for those. But, and she may even have some suggestions for you today. So just keep that in mind, because you need to put you on your priority list. How do you get your dream? First, you have to have a self-care routine to do this. And you may need to build a team in order to get your routine, but more on that later. All right, so here's my 5 steps for building it. So first thing is define your goal and aspirations. Clarify your vision, right? It needs to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. In other words, smart. Be smart about creating your vision, okay? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Then you need to set your priorities, determine which goals are most important to you and focus on them. Okay, so this is still about defining your goals and your aspirations. So first one, part of that, part A, is clarify your vision, be smart about it. And part B is set your priorities, determine which goals are most important to you and focus on them. So prioritizing helps you allocate your time and energy effectively. Dave Ramsey has this financial piece. He teaches financial peace, and he recommends in his program that you set your shortest goals first. That's one of his recommendations, because then you get your quick wins, as he calls it, under your belt. That then energizes you and propels you to that next level, which might take more time or more energy. And then I recently discovered from one of my son's teachers, I got to take a sip of tea here. And she recommended a book called Make Your Bed. It's written by Admiral William H. McRaven. He shares 10 life lessons from his Navy SEAL training that align perfectly with the dream routine concept. He emphasizes that starting the day with a completed task, like making your bed. Now, how many of us have gone a day or two without making our bed? And yeah, and simply making your bed is a very quick way to accomplish something for the day, moments from getting out of bed. This sets a positive tone and builds momentum for achieving your goals. And McRaven demonstrates how disciplined routine and a determined mindset can turn dreams into reality, showing this symbiotic relationship between small daily actions and significant positive changes in life. So step number 2, design your routine. This is pretty simple, but for some people, and I find this, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, for some people, this can be overwhelming. So break down your goals into tasks. Divide your goals into smaller, manageable tasks that you can incorporate for your daily routine. So there's a couple of ways that we have learned to do this with our Worthy Collective. First recommendation is make a dump list. A dump list is simply something that's monthly, quarterly, or even an annual goals, right? They're really big chunks. All the things that you need to accomplish in that time frame. For me, being a homeschooling mom, being a mom, being a wife, running my own business, all the volunteering things that I do, I teach, all of that. I often have so many things that I have to do. And when I get an opportunity to sit and think about it, I just get out a legal pad and I write down everything. And it might take a page and a half of my typical legal pad paper, just paper like this. And I might have 35 things on there. but at least I've got it in one spot. Some people use their phone, I like pen and paper. It just seems to work for me. So I write everything I do that I need to do, and then I start breaking it down into priority. Then I have my daily tasks, okay? And never more than 6, because you can rarely can accomplish more than 6 things. If you can, great. If you can't, don't sweat it. All you do is you write down 6 things at bedtime that you need to do for the next day. Plan ahead. No more than 6. And if you don't complete all 6, you just cross off the ones you have completed and put the ones you haven't on the top of the list for the next day. Now, here's a little cool thing that I have learned, my little trick of the day. This is my newest tool. My newest tool for my daily task list. I have found that the place that I tend to be the most inspired, the most creative, and the most in mind of what's going on is when I'm in the bathroom getting ready for the morning, for the day. And so I have found if I keep a dry erase marker in my bathroom and I write on my mirror things that come up or ideas or things I want to remember, I don't have to worry about them. I write them on the mirror, and there's a couple advantages to this. When I started writing them on the mirror, particularly if there's 6 tasks I need for the day, it also, my husband has seen it. And some of the ladies have met my husband. He brings me coffee every Saturday morning when we do our weekly meeting. So it's so cute. He's even added to my list things like hug your husband, so we do an 8-second hug every day. So he makes sure that that's on the list. So it might be item number 7, but he's also taken things off my list. He's also seen some of the things on there, and he's like, "Oh, I can pick up the prescriptions for you. I can stop at the store and get the milk, because we have a teenage son, so we are going through milk like 2 gallons at a time. So he will often do that. So the other thing that I have found is when I write my list on there, sometimes I leave the house, and that'll come up in a second, why I sometimes leave the house to get things done. And I've had to call my daughter and say, "What's on my list? Can you go in my bathroom and see it?" And the great thing about that is my children often see what I'm doing and how she said, "Oh, I can clean that for you. I can do that for you." So that's my tip, my coolest tool lately.
Brilliant, Tamara.
So
Brilliant.
simple, so simple. So plan your day, break them down into small tasks. Now, plan your day. Here's where I think this is one of my superpowers. Maggie would probably agree with me that I plan my day with dedicated blocks for each task. Now, some of you may know I am a private voice and acting teacher, and I go to my students' houses. So I am all over the place. I plot my schedule out. I have to pick up kids. I do all the same things that every other mom does. And one of the ways I keep track of everything is I have a daily schedule. So let me show you what that looks like. Let me see if I can find it for you. I have it. Okay. There it is. Now I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully I can figure out how to share my screen again. I love technology. I love technology. I love technology. I think it's this one. Here we go. All right. Can you see my plan? This is my weekly planner in 30-minute intervals. Okay. So this is for the week of 12/9 through 12/15. So that's the week we just had. So I start at 6 a.m. and I have 30-minute blocks. Let me see if I can show what you see so that I can kind of scroll for you. So you can see that I wake up at 6 a.m. I have my journal. I have my devotion time. We'll talk about that in a minute. I have stretch and shower. Stretch and shower is my exercise, daily exercise. So I work out with the trainer 1 day a week, and I'll tell you about that, why I do what I do there. I plan my time for eating, travel. Each color represents a different thing for me. So I break it down into 30-minute intervals. Anytime I'm doing office work, now I'll have a separate list of my office work and what I need to accomplish, and then I'll just look at how much time I have available and pick something and do it. My lessons are anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, and I plan about 15-20 minute travel time, and then I'll add more travel time if I need to, and then I also teach. So you can see I have some openings if people canceled for the day, or I just left it open for like appointments and that sort of thing. A lot of times it'll be office work. But you can see I break it down, family time. I try to get to bed, start my bedtime routine by 9:30. I prep for the next day if I can. And then I try to be in bed by 10 o'clock every night. So that's what my calendar looks like. I was going to put it in the chat. I'm not sure if that will translate when it comes to, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to see if I can put in the chat a PDF of a blank version of that, and we'll see if that works or not. So here is the chat. I love technology. I love technology. I love technology. I'm going to say it over and over again. And one of these days I'll put it in there. Let's see if it happens. I'm not sure if it will or not, but if not, I can always post it in the Worthy Ascension group as well. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to go back to my notes. All right, I want to keep track of my time here. All right, so need to put that away, need to put that away, back to my notes. Okay, so that's what my weekly planner looks like. Consistency is key here. So consider that when you establish a new habit, it takes time to develop a new habit. So a little over a longer period of time is much more effective than a lot of time all at once. So for my singing students, which if you think about singing, it's a lot of muscle coordination. So in order to develop a new habit, you have to train the muscles, which is the neural pathways in your brain. So I always say, excuse me, it's better for my students to sing for 10 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week. Then I ask them to slowly add for those, let's say they do 3 days a week. I ask them to do 10 minutes on those days. I ask them to add a minute on the second week to each of those days. When they have added up to 15 minutes, then I ask them to add another day. So now they're doing 4 days a week and they're doing 15 minutes. And then I have them on the very next week add 1 more minute to each of those 4 days. And then when they've gotten up to 20 minutes, then to add 1 more day. So you're slowly adding increments of time to your practice skills or whatever it is, your planning skills or whatever it is you're working towards. Whenever you're developing a new habit, let's say you want to exercise, add a minute, add an extra, after you have added 5 minutes, add another day. All right. So I do, with my exercise, I do stretching 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 5 days a week. And then on my 6th day, I have a 1-hour workout with a personal trainer. And then that keeps me, and your exercising can be anything from going for a walk, or it could be, for me, it's stretching or yoga. Stretching is a form of exercise. People need to know that as well. But the same thing if you're trying to develop healthier eating habits, just a little bit over, substitute one meal, make it all healthy, add 1 day where you eat nothing but healthy foods, then add a second day, third day, until you've got your at least 6 days where you eat clean. And then if you need a cheat day, you can get 1 day. And then after 1 day, drop it down to one meal a week. So that's another way, but smaller increments over a large period of time. Okay, so far, let me go back and review. We've covered define your goals and aspirations, which involves clarifying your vision, set your priorities, design your routine by breaking down into small tasks and schedule your day. And consistency is key. Now the third one, create a supportive environment. Lordy. Let me tell you about this one. Organize your space. So when you have a cluttered space, you have a cluttered mind. It's as simple as that. So ensure that your environment is conducive to productivity, whatever that is. Sorry, when I get up to sing on churches on Sunday, I'm up at 5 a.m. and sometimes by the end of the day, my allergies start kicking back in. So this could mean decluttering your workspace, setting up a designated area for specific tasks, or having necessary tools or resources readily available. So, as Maggie says, eliminate your piles of indecision.
Mm.
Cluttered workspace is a cluttered mind. Now, some of you may know this. I have a house of 5 people. 4 out of the 5 people are ADHD in this house. I have lots of neurodivergence in here. And they love their piles. They think it makes them focus, but I know that after a while, they can't see the forest for the trees, right? So I always say declutter, but start with your sanctuary. Start with your bedroom, start with your office, start with your own. If you're in an office building, start with just your own little space first and then work your way out. So I've learned a lot from the Holderness family. I don't know if any of you know the Holderness family. They consist of Kim and Penn Holderness, and their 2 children, and they are known for these very comedic and musical viral videos on YouTube. And they share a lot of humorous takes on family life, parenting, and ADHD particularly. And they also they create content. They have a podcast, and all their content is about relating to their audience. Right now, they're doing a lot of series on menopause, which are very funny. Anyway, but they also won the Amazing Race in 2022, attributing many of their small wins to Penn's ADHD brain. So they have a book called ADHD is Awesome, and they emphasize the importance of environment and in establishing a dream routine. They highlight that a supportive and organized environment is crucial for managing ADHD symptoms and fostering success. By creating a structure of consistent spaces, individualized with ADHD can better focus on their goals and maintain a balanced routine. So this involves, there's designated areas for different activities. They minimize distractions, and they are incorporating elements that encourage a calm and productive atmosphere. So that's where these videos come from that they make, is because they are very creative and funny about it. But they like to blend novelty and stimulation. They like to blend structure and entertainment at the same time. So this I have come to know through, in going through their book. They talk about a couple of them, but my children, all 3 of them, have gone to therapy for ADHD. And they have one of their therapists has said that what is challenging for ADHD brains, and I think this is for a lot of people, so a lot of this can be incorporated. It has to be in cup. Okay. That's the acronym for. It stands for it has to be inspiring. It has to be novelty or new. It has to be challenging. It has to be urgent, or it has to be a passion of theirs. It has to be 2 or 3 of those in order for the children or ADHD people to be motivated. Otherwise, if it's not 1 of those or 3 of those, then it's nearly impossible for them to accomplish.
So it helps them engage if there's
Yes.
what did you say?
If
2 out of the 5 or 3 out of the?
They say 2 or 3. It just depends. 2 or 3. A majority of them have to be, but I find that 3 is really the number that
Could you say them again?
Yep. In cup. It has to be inspiring, novelty or new, challenging. Once it's no longer challenging, they're no longer interested in doing it. It has to be urgent or passion. Now, urgent seems to be the one, like a deadline. It's due tomorrow. They can hunker down and focus.
Wow.
The ADHD part is actually a very poor descriptor of what's actually happening to them. They don't have an attention deficit. They actually hyper focus attention, right? And then they either are focused on too many things at once, and they don't know how to not focus on everything, and that's when they get overwhelmed, or they hyper focus on something and can ignore absolutely everything around them. So it's like there's chaos all around them and they can't even hear it because they're hyper focused on whatever it is. So, but a lot of the things that work for them can work for us too. We just don't need as many of the in-cup things as they do. So minimizing distraction. This is where I'm going to go back to, for me, one of the things that I do. You have to identify potential distraction, find ways to minimize them, including turning off notifications, setting boundaries with others. That's key. Or using tools like apps to help you focus. Now, in my house, I have a rule. If the bedroom door is closed, because that's where my office is, mom's not available. Now, the challenge I have is I have a 105-pound dog who doesn't seem to know this, and he doesn't care if the door is closed. So he'll just sit out there and bark. But so occasionally I have to leave my house in order to get things done because I can't avoid the distractions, which is why then I call my daughter and say, "What's on my mirror?" So, but another thing you can do is set alarms on your phone for cutoff times. Like I will give you the next 15 minutes of my time and focus because you can imagine being a homeschool mom and my kids are home 3 out of the 5 days a week. I get a lot of distractions. So, it could be for lunch breaks, especially when you work from home. You have to remind yourself the lunch breaks you need a limited amount of time. So if you want to scroll through social media, that's great, but set an alarm and when it goes off, turn it off. And one point as a mom, I actually went on strike. I
Oh,
really was frustrated with the amount of effort that I was putting in for cooking dinners
mm-hmm.
and cleaning the house and everything else. And I found the only way to engage my husband in the process, engage my kids in the process, was if I just left. And that is when all my volunteering started. So if you find that your environment, because you can't control everything, if you can't control it, find a new one. So I go to my church. I have an office there that I share, and nobody bothers me. A lot of times nobody even knows I'm there, so I can get a lot of stuff done. So find a place where you can do that. And that's why I say, put yourself back on that priority list if you need to. All right, so that is part of our create a supportive environment. Now, the next one I want to talk about, incorporate positive habits. Okay, so this is step 4, incorporate positive habits. Create a morning and evening routine. So start your day and end your day with a routine that sets you up. Okay, for us, I do the Miracle Morning, which is the savers, and I think Maggie's talked about it. We've posted about it before, but just as a reminder, the savers are silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which scribing is his way of saying journaling. And I spend no more than 5 minutes in the morning on my journaling process, which incorporates, writing gratitude, my visualization, and writing down what tasks I need to do for the day. And then in the end of the day, it is where I succeeded, where I struggled, and what I learned. Very simple. And then as part of my exercise, like I mentioned, I do yoga, I do stretching, and then I do work out with a trainer because, and that's important to note, that I have added a trainer to my team. So I have built a team. If I'm not the expert, I will find an expert. Just like with my kids, I'm not an expert on how to handle a lot of their ADHD things. I'm learning. I'm probably close to being an expert now, but I had to start with putting people on their team for them. So, and I want to point out that as part of building our team or creating healthy lifestyle choices is to build your team. That includes finding people who can advocate for you. And the reason I mention that is because a lot of times when we rely on, particularly with health stuff, we tend to rely on the Western medical facilities and our health insurance companies, and a lot of them, and Lori can attest to this too, they don't have all the answers. My dad recently went through a series of tests for his heart. He was having fatigue and exhaustion, and they were attributing it because he has a family history of congestive heart failure, and he went through a CT scan and all these things. And he recently had an episode where he had to be taken to the ER where they did a simple blood test to find out he was anemic, which they didn't do the blood test because Medicare won't pay for it if the doctor doesn't deem it necessary. And had they started with that, they may have been able to avoid some of the other really expensive medical tests that they went through. So build your team with experts who will ask questions. And if you are having health concerns, find somebody to advocate for you, because sometimes you need that extra person. So if a lot of times it's a spouse, maybe it's not a spouse, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a counselor, but a lot of times you need somebody to advocate for you. So build your team. I recently went through, last year I had a surgery on, I had a repair to a muscle in my abdomen that was probably a separation that came from my first pregnancy, which my oldest child is 20. So that tells you how long I had that. And through a series of exercise and practice with my trainer, who is on Zoom, by the way. So he noticed something and he said, I really think you need to have that checked out. And after 5 years of trying to jump through hoops and check all the boxes and working with a chiropractor, working with, because all the medical doctors were like, it's not bad enough. It's not bad enough to do anything. It's not bad enough to take care of. And when I finally was able to jump through all the hoops and check off the boxes and the stars aligned just right, and I had the surgery to repair the muscle separation, in the 1 year of recovery time, I have discovered all of these other things, misfiring of muscles, the order of the way the muscles would fire because of that separation. It was causing a series of other things. And then now that I've had the repair and now that I've been healing from that repair, all of those things disappeared.
Oh, so
So
great.
you have to push even and jump through the hoops. And by the way, the insurance never paid for that surgery. I had to pay for that surgery. So, but it was part of another surgery that they did pay for. So there's all these things. So put yourself on the list, advocate for yourself, build your team of experts, ask questions, right? So when you're functioning properly, this is why I'm harping on the self-care, because you have to have a team. If it weren't for my chiropractor, my massage therapist, my family doctor, who is an actual family doctor, right? So they treat the whole body and they treat all different ages. They weren't a specialist. She was able to put the dots together. So healthy lifestyle choices, build your team, advocate for yourself, and find an advocate for you. So all these things I'm telling you. So if you remember nothing from this point on, if you are not the expert, find an expert and build your team of experts. That's what I did for my kids. And I consider myself as a teacher. I'm part of my students' team. I'm an expert on their team. And this Worthy Collective, we are part of your team. We all need a team, so we can be a part of that team. All right, last thing, step 5 on building a dream routine. Review and adjust regularly. So if you remember nothing else from what I tell you today, the best dream routine you could ever have is the one that you will stick with. So if the things that we suggest and you try them and they don't work, find something else, make an adjustment, check in what worked, what didn't work, maybe just as a tweak here or there. Find people who are the experts that will give you more suggestions, but pivot. As Maggie always says, pivot from Friends. So reflect on your progress. Every dream routine, the goal is progress. It's the target, right? Is progress, not perfection. Measurable progress that you can celebrate your wins. Make adjustments, be flexible, willing to try new things, allowing enough flexibility that life can get in the way, because life will always get in the way, and we have to make adjustments and pivots. And then celebrate all of your successes, right? Celebrate your wins. So that is the steps that you can follow to create a dream routine that aligns with your aspirations and helps you move steadily towards achieving your goals. So I hope that that was helpful. I'm glad, Lori, you were here for that, because I wanted to talk about you. Is there any suggestions you have for self-care, for getting people?
Well, the basic is people, they don't have it in their schedule. So start there, put it in me time, it's okay. Or just, I have a meeting. So if someone looks at your calendar and goes, oh, you have a meeting, and yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever is you have to, whatever you have to describe it as or put it into your calendar as, put it. You have, if you don't make the time is not going to be made for you.
True.
So
Absolutely.
we have to start getting into the habit of putting it in our schedule and color code it or, give it a symbol or whatever, however
Give
you,
it a priority
whatever.
coding.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so, yeah, definitely get it in your schedule, number one.
Excellent.
Yes.
Love that.
It can be it for your daily, it can be weekly, it can be monthly, but you have to get it in so then the universe, God can say, okay, this and support you in that and say, okay, this is what she wants.
That's part of
So,
your team. Yeah. That energy
yes.
cycle.
Yes. Time out.
Yeah. That's what I used to say. In fact, one of the reasons that I do my business the way that I do, the reason I go to my students' houses was for two reasons. One, when my kids were finally old enough to like be on their own at home, that was the only quiet time that I got was in my car driving to another location. And I could listen to whatever music I wanted. I could sing at the top of my lungs because all of my kids, when I would travel with them, they'd go, Mama, Mama, don't sing, don't sing. And they would sing at the top of their lungs. So I know all the Backyardigans songs by
Yeah.
heart, but I've never seen an episode because it was always on the video that they were watching and I was always driving. But Mama, don't sing, they'd say. So
Oh,
that was how I got to sing. So I always talk about my minivan as my second home because that's my time out. And then I go to houses because I know those moms just can't put one more thing on their list. Their
yeah.
sons or daughters are able to take voice lessons because I come to their house and they can go drop a child off at a piano lesson. So it makes it possible for them to incorporate things. So
Or they can have a 1 hour or whatever the time allowed
yeah,
it is, have the me time.
yep, yep, that's too. Yeah, that's
So
exactly it.
it's, yeah.
So it works
Yes,
well. So I'm not just on the team of my students, I'm on the team of my moms. So
absolutely. It's
parents. So
women, us women supporting each other.
yeah,
Well, and humans supporting each other.
humans supporting each other. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so that's my that's some of my tips of the trade. And
That was
I know
great.
Lori has taught me so much about prioritizing and making myself putting myself on the list. So I hope if
Yay.
anybody has any questions, by all means, send them in the chat. We would be
Well,
happy
and
to
I was going
answer
to
them.
say, think of yourself, sometimes we have to use the analogy or metaphorically of a car. If you don't have gas in your car, you cannot go anywhere.
True.
If your tires are bald, you can't drive. So really,
Not going to safely get
people,
anywhere.
I have found through my 30 years of massaging, people take better care of their cars than they do themselves. So that's why I'm so adamant about how important it is to put themselves first, to
Yeah.
make themselves the priority.
Yeah.
And you're so much happier and joyful when you have a full cup and you can give from a full cup because we all have been there trying to give from an empty cup and we get mad or angry or resentful
And it's just
but
not
it's our own
possible. Yeah.
right. We
It's
have to go, okay, time out. Sorry, I'm not available. Set it like you were saying, setting boundaries applies in every aspect of life, you
yeah.
know?
That's
So
a really important setting boundaries is a topic all on its own that we will probably cover at some point. But setting boundaries is something that I've had to learn to do. And you read in my accolades that I work with survivors of domestic violence, and that is a skill that I have to really teach them. And that's actually by taking those classes is how I learned to do them myself. But I just yesterday went to help a friend who is going through a divorce and has to prepare her household for an inspection because they have to have I don't know if they're having custody battle or what, but they have to have because there's children involved. They have to have an inspection of their house, and she's just overwhelmed. And I said, "What are you doing for you?" And
mhm.
and she was stunned. And she's like, "What do you mean? What am I doing for me?" And I was just like, "No, we got to take care of you first. Then you can take care of your children." And so we started with her room and started,
Mhm.
organizing, getting his stuff out, organizing everything. And she said, "You're the very first person to say that to me. Everybody else has said, you got to do this for your kids, you got to do this for your kids. And I'm like, if you don't do this
Well,
for you first, you're not going to be able to do that. So let's
but
take care of you.
this is the thinking, the old thinking of our societal, beliefs that they've put on that is put on us,
Yeah,
especially women. So
especially.
we are breaking free of that. And well,
Yeah.
good. I know she's grateful for having you. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. She was very
And
grateful. And
and that's,
I involved my husband and two of my children. So
I
we all
mean,
went and helped. So
yes.
I know, because I
So
want them to see that. Like this is we step in. We step in when somebody needs help and if we're able. So I was able to literally carve it out of my schedule and do that. So, and I was
that's so
happy to do
great.
that.
That's so great. Well, and that's what we do here at the for Worthy Community. We're here to support you. We're
Yeah.
here to just uplift you and inspire you. And if we don't know, we'll definitely get you an expert that can definitely help you. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Ask, allow, receive, right? That was the thing we learned yesterday. Ask, allow, receive. And the biggest significance of what I did yesterday was she finally asked for help. So
that's
ask,
right.
build your team, allow it to happen, receive it. So dream
Absolutely.
routine, it will help you achieve many things. Not just the big things, but all the little things in between. And they all matter.
Yes.
So, well, thank you, Lori. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on the replay crew. And
Thank you.
you
What a
teach next
great
week,
topic.
correct? You
I
teach
teach
next
next.
week?
Yeah. On
Okay.
resilience. No. Yes. Resilience.
I know we've
Resilience.
got a couple of things coming up. So, yes, next week is mindset and emotional resilience. Ooh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that. I have a small procedure this week, so I will be joining you in recovery, but I will still be joining you. So I
Okay.
look forward to it.
Okay.
So, well, thank
Awesome.
you everybody for joining us, and we hope to see you next time, and we'll see you on the app. Reach out. If you're on the app, reach out, ask questions, check out our remedies, because some of these things that we talk about that, so if you are kind of circumventing the, the Western pharmaceutical medical world, there are some great suggestions on there that will help boost your immunity, clean your house without all the harsh chemicals. And there's some great recipes on there from Stacy as well. So who is our health expert, one of our health experts. So thank you for joining us. Have a great week and we will see you soon.